Number 2, describe prototyping model and its generic phases of prototyping model. Prototyping model generally means it will develop some small systems. That means they will pilot version they will release. Once it is accepted, then they will release the final version. Because if it is not acceptable to the end user, so again there will be problems after building the application system. Instead of that, they'll just to avoid some bottlenecks and all, organization they'll develop this kind of prototyping and they'll release to the user. They'll seek some advice and all from them, then final version will be released. So check it. So smaller pilot version will be released, final version after that. So if the final version is accepted, then it will be released. If there is if something problem from the final version, then it will be scrapped. The traditional approach to develop a system sometimes may take years to analyze, design and implement a system. Many times we know a little about the system unless we go through its working phases, which are not available. To avoid such bottlenecks and overcome the issues, organizations are increasingly using prototyping techniques to develop smaller systems such as decision support system, management information system and expert systems. So the goal of prototyping approach is to develop a small or pilot version called prototype of part or all system. A prototype is a usable system or system component that is built quickly and at a lesser cost, and with the intention of modifying or replicating or expanding or even replacing it by a full scale and fully operational system. As users work with the prototype, they learn about the system criticalities and make suggestions about the ways to manage it. These suggestions are then incorporated to improve the prototype, which is also used and evaluated. Finally, when a prototype is developed that satisfies all user requirements, either it is refined or turned into the final system or it is scrapped. If it is scrapped, the knowledge gathered from building the prototype is used to develop the real system. So there are few phases of, here given only 4 phases, generic phases of prototyping model. So identify information system requirements, that is important. In traditional approach, the system requirements are to be identified before the development process starts. However, under prototyping approach, the design team needs only fundamental system requirements to build the initial prototype. The process of determining them can be less formal and time consuming than when performing traditional system analysis. So less format and less time consuming. Develop the initial prototype. The designers create an initial base model and give little or no consideration to internal controls, but instead emphasize system characteristics such as simplicity, flexibility, and ease of use. These characteristics enables users to interact with tentative versions of data entry, display screens, menus, input prompts, and source documents. The users also need to be able to respond to the system prompts, make inquiries of the information system, judge the response times of the system, and issue commands. Test and revise. After finishing the initial prototype, the designers first demonstrate the model to the users and then give it to them to experiment and ask user to record their likes and dislikes about the system and recommend changes. Using this feedback, the design team modifies the prototype as necessary and then resubmits the revised model to system users for re-evaluation. Thus, interactive process of modification and re-evaluation continues until the users are satisfied. So, obtain user sign-off of the approved prototype. Users formally approve the final version of the prototype, which commits them to the current design and establishes a contractual obligation about what the system will and will not do or provide. Prototype is not commonly used for developing traditional applications such as accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll, or inventory management, where the inputs, processing, and outputs are well known and clearly defined.